Both of us were having a bad day.
we just clicked.
Yes, at that picnic table, remember?
We were venting.
Sounds like a question. Well, how do you guys met?
Well, you know what? It was so funny. 10 years ago, I was in HR at the time. Ariel was a nurse. We worked for the same company, and both of us were having a bad day.
we just clicked.
Yes, at that picnic table, remember?
We were venting.
He was sitting there, and I went out, and I was like, "Hi." You know, in HR, you're not really supposed to interact. But we just clicked, and we was at the picnic table, remember? And I was like, "I'm just having a bad day." He was like, "Me too." And it's been 10
Boom,
years.
one thing went after another.
That's all it takes.
And I think that's the day he actually met you, because he was like, "I just met this guy." He was excited about it, and I was like, I think we went over our lunch that day too.
We did. I'm like, we really became close after that lunch. I'm like, let's go have lunch and vent. And then we just built a relationship from that point on. And Jeanine will always come over and say hi. And she never left without saying bye. And if you had an issue, she was the one that we trusted the most. She'd like say, "Hey, Jeanine, I have an issue." And she'll be like, "Just relax. Let's go outside for a minute." She took me a couple times outside. Like, "I'm going to quit." And she always had those words and that calming effect to be like, "It's going to be okay." And it was until the day that we left.
And even when we were leaving, I was like, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do. I have my real estate license, so I'm going to go practice full time." He was like, "Really?" I said, "Yes." And shortly thereafter, you left.
And I left.
And then 2 years later, you called me, and you were like,
"Hey, Jeanine, we want to buy a house.
and we want to sell the one.
And we want to sell and buy." So, you know, that's when I had to convince you that, hey, I've known Jeanine for a long time now, and we should use her. And then, what were your words when I told you that? You remember? You were like, "Wait, what do you mean she's going to sell her home and buy her home?" So it took a while, and back end, me and Jeanine just talking about like, how can I get Javier convinced to bring her on board? And it was quick. I think once I explained it, and Javier saw how I was talking about it and describing you, he felt more comfortable and like, let's go for it, and then it was just amazing because we talked about, you knew all our needs, we told you what we needed, and then next thing we did, we had an open house, and within an hour, house was sold. And that's when it really clicked in for Javier, was like, Ariel, you did a great decision by hiring Jeanine.
He said, I trust you, I love you, but you got to convince him.
Javier.
I'm like, well, what do I need to do?
Now now I can see the click. What he was saying and what you say right now. Now I can see that they were, and definitely, it was not wrong. The click was there. It's still there.
And remember, we set a new precedence in that community, because everybody told us the house will not appraise. You will not get that price point. And we got over.
Asking.
1 hour.
Yes. And then your second home, everybody was like, "Oh, there is no way." Then we got 40,000.
40,000 over, selling.
So I was like, you know what? This is home number 3. Don't worry about it. We know what we're doing at this point.
We're doing.